Origin stories are the bread and butter of superhero fables. Even with constant reboots, the origin story tends to remain consistent. But some origin stories were almost very, very different. Here are some that were changed at the last second. Wolverine might be the most popular X-Man ever, but boy has his life sucked. Amnesia is bad enough, but he's also got dozens of dead girlfriends, he killed his biological dad, and he was turned into a nightmarish science experiment that bonded metal to his bones. But the original plan was to eventually reveal that the Clawed One wasn't a real mutant, but instead an actual Wolverine that had been transformed into a human through some mad science. That might sound like a bad joke, but early X-Men comics even hinted at this twist, such as one issue in which Sentinel manufacturing bad guys scan Logan's body and pick up weird readings. And another time, when the X-Men meet up with magical leprechauns, Logan gruffly says that he doesn't believe in such fairy tales, to which the leprechaun responds that he doesn't believe in talking Wolverines either. Thankfully, Stan Lee put the kibosh on this wacky concept. For a long time, X-Men was Marvel's biggest franchise, and a lot of the credit for that goes to longtime writer Chris Claremont. But not all of Claremont's ideas made it to print, though. For example, consider Nightcrawler, that lovable, blue-skinned Catholic mutant. In the comics, Mystique is his mom, but according to comic book resources, Claremont's original idea was for Mystique to be Nightcrawler's father. Mystique is a shapeshifter after all, so it's entirely possible that she could morph the necessary equipment to impregnate someone. In this case, the mother would have been Destiny, one of Mystique's fellow Brotherhood members. This plot twist never moved from subtext to actual text because of the now-defunct Comics Code, which barred the depiction of LGBTQ+ relationships. By the time the Comics Code became dust in the wind, later writers had already come up with a different depiction of Nightcrawler's parentage. You might already know the classic Robin origin story. Dick Grayson is a high-flying young circus acrobat whose parents, the Flying Graysons, are murdered by gangsters. He's adopted by a strange billionaire named Bruce Wayne, and his colorful Robin costume serves as a clear homage to the circus family he lost.
Who's your tailor?
I took the liberty, sir.
But Robin's backstory could have been very different. A canceled 1943 Batman radio show would have changed the Flying Graysons into a pair of FBI agents who were murdered by Nazis. While this retcon wasn't directly proposed for the comics, such media adaptations had a way of causing the comics to be rewritten. For example, such classic Superman staples as Kryptonite and the Daily Planet were first created by the Superman radio show and then adapted into the comics, while Batman's iconic Batcave was introduced in a 1943 serial. So if the Batman radio series had been produced, there's a good chance the Nazis killed Robin's FBI parents' origin would have become part of the comics. In many ways, Eddie Brock makes the perfect anti-Spider-Man. While Peter Parker is the kid who grew up too fast and is always plagued by responsibilities, Brock is the kid who never grew up and never takes responsibility. The two are so perfectly opposite that you'd imagine their storyline had been planned all along, but surprisingly enough, Brock wasn't the guy who was originally intended to become Venom. In fact, the character's creators weren't aiming for a guy at all. According to Venom creator David Michelinie, the character was originally conceived as a happily married pregnant woman who gets in a car accident when her taxi driver is too busy looking up at Spider-Man to pay attention to the road. Her husband dies, she has a miscarriage, and she's so enraged at Spider-Man that his rejected alien costume is drawn to her like a moth to a flame. But this pitch was rejected because Michelinie's editor didn't believe a female villain could really face off against Spider-Man. This sexist dismissal hasn't aged well, but at the time, it meant Michelinie had to quickly invent Eddie Brock, who's since become the symbiote's most iconic host. And the pregnancy angle hung around, as Venom and Eddie found out that they were expecting in the 2018 issue.
I have a parasite. Yeah. Name is Chen.
Parasite?
Yeah, it's a term of endearment, that's all.
Apologize!
The entire superhero genre as we know it depends upon the creation of Superman. It's the ultimate sci-fi immigrant story, first brought to life by two Jewish kids from Cleveland named Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. However, back when Siegel first made it out of high school, he self-published a story called Reign of the Superman, in which the title character is a villainous powerhouse created by an evil mad scientist. According to the Jewish Virtual Library, Siegel and Shuster abandoned this villainous Superman concept when the Nazis started distorting German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche's Superman concept for their own purposes. So the duo recreated their Superman character with a new origin story as a heroic force for truth, justice, and the American way. These days, Superman seems old school, but at the time he was so innovative and radical that it took 5 years for Siegel and Schuster to find a publisher willing to produce their story, which finally came to light in Action Comics #1. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.